Hey guys, Tizzou here again, casting more StarCraft 2, continuing my coverage of the Zotac 25. For anyone who doesn't know, the Zotac Cup is played on the European realm, open to any player who is able to play on the European servers. So if you feel like entering, please sign up. It's a very nice event. Spawning in the bottom position on Xel'Naga Caverns, we have SeleCT, the blue Terran, versus TartAR, the green Zerg. Spawning in the top position, our map is Xel'Naga Caverns. All quarterfinal games are started on Xel'Naga Caverns. The loser of the game has choice of the next map from the current map pool. Here we go, taking a look at the map. Very easy to take first expansion. Your third expansion, much tougher. Taking a look right here, rocks need to be broken down before you can get here. There's still this cliff here with this back door, as well as your opponent can get into your base using this ramp without breaking down rocks. And the gold expansion, your other option, has a set of rocks you need to break down before taking it, and you're already in the center of the field right by these two watchtowers on either side. This chasm play a huge role in this map because this chasm extends the rush distance ever so slightly. You'll find a lot of long games played on Xel'Naga Caverns, even though it's a very small map, very interesting map nonetheless. Take a look at our Terran player. Ooh, here we go. Going refinery before barracks. We're probably going to see a very quick factory. TLO employs a build like this for his Terran versus Zerg. He likes to get that gas immediately. As soon as that barracks is done, he's going to have 100 gas to throw on that factory. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go for that. Taking a look at our our Zerg player's base, it'd be tough to have a Protoss player with creep all over the place, going gas and then pool. Probably going to be seeing some kind of speedlings to deal with any kind of early harass coming from our Terran player. You're not going to be able to chase down Hellions with speedlings, but nonetheless, Lings, even if they're speedy, have a heck of a time dealing with Hellions just because of the Hellion spray and the Hellion speed. Look at this SCV just zapping anything he can, being as annoying as possible, force Drone to get off and poke him a little bit back. Taking a look at our Terran base, barracks almost done, almost up to 100 gas. We're probably going to see that factory as soon as that, see that factory as soon as that barracks is done. Hasn't thrown on a second gas, so we're probably not going to see too much tech. If he throws on a second gas, you'll probably see a quick tech, but since we haven't, I imagine we're going to see Hellions. Factory going down. We'll see if he decides to throw in an add-on on this barracks. Just enough room. Look at the way he does this. Bailing Bust will not be effective with these two big buildings and a double thick building here. And yes, Reactor Hellions most likely going to be on the way. Zergling speed just being started. Our Zerg player has opted not to go for any kind of risky early expansion, deciding just to play a much more standard Terran vs Zerg as going for this pool followed by gas, getting that quick speedlings to deal with Reapers or Hellion harass that just moves so quickly. Our Terran player spreading out his supply depot very wisely, doesn't want anything to get into his base without him having time to react to it. Orbital commit just now finishing, and the factory just about finished. We'll see what he does with this. Is he going to swap him? I would be some yes, swap going. Oh, and Zergling's coming in. Are the Zerglings going to get in before it lands? No! Just barely. The land finishes. Here we go. Double Hellions being produced. Zergling's whacking away at this reactor. We'll see how SeleCT deals with this. Yep, here he has to take the SCVs off the line to repair this reactor. Hellions just about halfway done. Take a look at our Zerg players. Ooh, Baneling Nest. Banelings are going to be a very interesting choice. Banelings will not take... Oh, and the reactor's almost going to go down, but the repairing SCVs I think are just going to be too much. Going to look at it. Yes, the Hellions are finally out. That reactor almost going down. And Banelings are going to be very interesting. It's going to be very tough to Baneling bust down this wall. But here we go. Hellions are going to know all about this Baneling coming. They're going to have to retreat back. Probably going to put up his own wall because he does not want to get stuck. Bringing up these Hellions HP. Oh, look at those Hellions. Not even barely taking a hit. Only one just barely in the orange. Marine being left out to die. No, just barely able to survive thanks to those Hellions coming in. Zerglings versus Hellions, adding on Banelings. I don't think it's going to be enough, but we'll see how he decides to move out of here. Banelings finally making their push into the Zerg base. No, wall goes down. Is he going to blow up that reactor? No, very wisely backs up. Knows there's a supply depot back there, and he will not be able to get into his base even if he breaks down the reactor. 4 Hellions in the mix, and here we go. So Starport going down. Might see some drop play out of our Terran player, doubling back to our Zerg player. Hasn't opted to move on to a layer. Hasn't opted to add on any other tech except for Banelings, and producing mainly Zerglings. He wants to end this game now. He does not want to take this game. Hellions finally pushing out of their base. Just burning these Zerglings alive. Look at that Hellion micro. These Zerglings able to do nothing about it. Even got Hellions sitting on the ridge. These Zerglings just being torched alive. I really think our Zerg player is going to need to transition out of Zerglings because it's not going to win this game using nothing but Zerglings, especially with the number of Hellions now on the field. Look at these. These Zerglings are going to be roasty toasty. No time at all. There they go. Fired in the hole. Zerglings are dead. All these Hellions are going to do terrible damage to our Zerg player. He has nothing but a Queen right now. Finally adding on new tech. Roach Warren going down, not getting a layer yet. Getting high in the gas, very low in the drone count. Bringing up the income tab, 17 to 22. Our Zerg player behind in drones. You definitely don't want to be in this position as a Zerg player. You really need to make that early harass do a heck of a lot more than it did. Hellions making their way across the field. Gonna find out that our Zerg player hasn't expanded. These Hellions, if they take any of his precious few drones away, our Zerg player's going to be in huge trouble. Not going to run by the Queen, even though he has an extreme advantage in the number of Hellions. The Queen still will take a long time to kill. He's not exactly sure what our Zerg player, now the Hellion's coming in. No, don't focus on the Queen. To hit something, you're going to do that bonus damage against, taking down one Hellion. Oh, Hellion's just torching these Zerglings without mercy. Zergling's going to go down. Is he going to use his drones? No. Oh, 2 drones go down in that one shot. Keep the Harvesters tab up. Down to 14 Harvesters. Not good at all. 14 to 24. 10 Harvester deficit. Queen poking away. That one Hellion going to be stuck in the corner, unable to get out. Nothing he can do. Let's see what our Zerg player's producing. Roaches, not even bringing up his drone count. Roaches and Lings on the way. It's going to be a tough position. Forced to take drones off of gas because he needs as many minerals as possible. Hellions coming out. Still working with Hellions, adding on one dropship, Viking poking away at these Overlords. Marines finally take down the Overlord. Our Zerg player's in quite the pickle indeed. Taking a look, he's 26 supply, bringing up the Army tab, 26 to 40. Our Terran player getting in the lead, but the thing to note is our Terran player has 27 SCVs versus our Zerg player's 9, so our Zerg player has quite a few more attacking units than our Terran player has right now. Zerg player moving out with Zerglings, and look at the way the Zerglings are just kind of following that one Roach. I guess he's Papa Roach. Here we go. Marine's about to go down, surrounded by Zerglings. We'll see if our Zerg player is able to come back from this huge economic deficit, moving the starport into position to complete that wall even tighter than it was before. And look at this, our Terran player opting just to go by with his Hellions. Knows this isn't going to be enough to stop him, especially with that extra thick wall. Forced to lift up expansion, and note this right here, very nice placement of his engineering bay, blocking off that back door from a Zergling run by. Here we go, Hellions about to come into the base. At the same time, we have TartAR trying to take down the reactor any way he can. Is he going to get the reactor before our Terran player is able to repair it? Almost going down. Reactor goes down. Huge for our Zerg player. This reactors take a very long time to build, but he's still not going to be able to get by. Siege tanks, even without siege mode, do a terrible damage to armored units and fire extremely quickly. Terran player, looks like he decided not to do any harass with these Hellions. Actually, might have gotten a little bit of harassment off, but our Zerg player, as you'll see, is sitting right about 9 workers like he's been the entire time. I think the Terran player's been more concentrated defending this push because he knows our Zerg player is back against the wall and is trying to win with this push. Zerg player just going to sit outside of our Terran's base, not with a very large force. Here comes the Terran player. Zerg player forced to retreat. One Roach going down. Oh, he's just sacrificing these Lings to the gods of the Terrans. Lings finally forced to back up. TartAR concentrating mostly on Zerglings, producing nothing right now, bringing up the economy tab, still working off 11 drones, down by 17 workers. Terran player just in a commanding lead, finally establishing expansion. You never want to be even base against a Terran, and especially you don't want to be down a base against a Terran. That's never good. 2 bunkers going up. The nice thing about bunkers is it can be salvaged for your entire profit, or your entire money spent back. Zergling's trying to get that Hellion, but that dropship's too tough, too quick, not going to happen. Look at this, throwing these Hellions up the cliff. Go ahead, try and take this watchtower. I dare you. Finally pushing out, doing a nice little SCV transfer, double gas, probably going to be concentrating more on these gas-heavy units like siege tanks and Vikings, possibly adding on dropships. And here we go, Hellions coming into the Zerg base, finally see the Zerg just now expanding, getting a quick shot off, double Queen action, but is it going to be enough? These Queens are able to force those Hellions away, but he's still in quite a tough position, as you'll hear the Viking firing away, taking out Overlords, making our Zerg players play as small of a position as possible. Zerg players want to take over the map. They don't want to be trapped. They don't want to get stuck in a corner, but our Zerg player is stuck in the corner. Here we go, adding on 4 barracks. Is going to have 4 barracks, 2 factories, 5 barracks, 2 factories producing non-stop. Our Terran player just compounding his lead even further, bringing up this Army tab 26 to 81. Our Zerg player doing everything he can, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Look at the Terran player not losing any units unnecessarily, still using that dropship micro to keep those Lings at bay. finally, our Zerg player getting some vision of the field, but is still trapped in his base. He can't really go out with those Hellions everywhere. Nothing but Zerglings and a couple Roaches. He really needs to pump up his drone numbers. He needs to pump them up now. 17 to 45 Harvesters. It's not getting any better. Our Terran player continuing to produce Harvesters nearly nonstop. Our Zerg player is going to need to do something now, because he's going to be out of this game if this game continues the way it's going. Units tab, 17 workers, only 12 Lings and 1 Roach right now, bringing his total up to 18 Lings now, right as I say it. 4 tanks, 1 medevac, Viking, 2 Hellions, Marauders, and 14 Marines, just absolutely dominant position. Working on his upgrades, getting vehicle weapons +1, bringing up his production tab. Look at that, our Zerg player producing nothing but a couple drones, and our Terran player getting every upgrade he can possibly get his hands on. Zerg player just establishing his first base, but still doesn't have a very hefty drone numbers. Viking getting all the scouting information he can. Lings just following that Viking. I don't know why, just because they're going to eventually jump up and claw it down. Who knows? They can dream. Our Zerg player just really needs to get his drone numbers up, and I don't think our Terran player is going to allow him to do that. Getting all the scouting information that Viking he can possibly get. And third base getting ready to be set up for our Terran player. Terran player taking over this map with great aggression. Bring up the army tab, 42 to 125. Selected just a dominant position. I'm not sure. Our Zerg player he needs to do something, and I don't know what he can do. I have no advice for you, my friend. Do everything you can, but it's gonna be tough. Man, and now adding on +1 infantry weapons, getting a Baneling, Zergling, 1 Roach army, still 46 to 140. Our Terran player is going to be maxed before our Zerg player hits 100. This is not good. Bringing up the reduction tab. Creep Tumors finally just now getting his lair. He's finally moving on to lair tech. He's up to 550 gas. I don't think he expected to spend so long dealing with that harassment, losing so many drones so early. Terran player finally pushing out across the map. I think this is going to be the death blow. Not Lings, Marines, tanks, and Marauders, 2 medevacs, throwing up a sensor tower and a turret just to get, and no, he's actually just coming out to get his third base. He doesn't want the Zerg player to even consider coming back into this, so he's taking the gold. Here we go. Is he going to push out? Possibly. He scans because he's worried, I assume, against some burrowed Banelings. He knows that could be the most dangerous thing, is Banelings popping up on his Marines and really taking out his Marines. Marines do extremely large amount of damage, but the problem is they're extremely weak as far as taking damage. Here we go, scanning and taking out the Creep Tumors. Lings coming in, Banelings coming. Look at the way he micros the Marines away. Absolutely devastating. I think our Zerg player is going to have to go get him, bringing up the army tab, 42 to 155. Yes, our Zerg player, good games out. Game 1 goes to Select. Gonna get Game 2 started soon. Hope you enjoyed. This was Tizzou.